Welcome to the class. I am Nick Mladenkin, President of Canada and Secret Agent to the America, and specifically headquartered in New York, where we work to combat the counter initiatives to the CIA and stop them from dealing the cocaine from Colombia and making deals with drug lords and cartels. But enough of that. Today we are going to debunk some rhetoric used in propaganda, used in all over the news, public opinion, biases, following the masses when the masses are uninformed completely or have false evidence, or just interviewing people in sport. I use it for sports all the time. I see interviewers pissing off athletes. I see athletes pissing off interviewers, and they all have their own truths and biases and opinions and feelings. So, and oftentimes when somebody is biased, this is what I want to teach you. When somebody is biased or has an opinion or has a hidden agenda, they usually keep that secret to themselves, but they talk to you and pose questions that are framed from that hidden opinion. And in that communication is lost that truth, that opinion. So whoever's on the receiving end of that conversation is being flagged with all these hidden biases, but can't recognize them. Luckily for you, I have an IQ of 136, gifted, top 9, smarter than 94% of the population, and nobody can fucking trick me. Nobody can trick me. So I am going to outline to you basics. I grouped them nicely as well. If you were to study this in journalism school, you would be hammered with 30, 40, 50 logic fallacies, ethos fallacies, emotional fallacies, content of character fallacies, 30, 40, 50. I've grouped them. So one of them I got, like, how many do I have? I got 14. But every one of them contains like 10 of what you would find if you were to go through each one individually, which is hard to remember. So I've grouped them into a shorter list. So you want to get to the truth. Now, if you follow me on YouTube, if you follow me on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, and I post my opinions and my reactions to events, news, and popular celebrities and figures, I am 99.99% of the time objective. I am, what's it called? Not brutal, but I am not vulgar. I am, what's the word, when you're just like, is it not brute, I am, I was gonna say brute. I am brute. Maybe that's the word. I am brute, but I am objective. Now, when I am subjective, it's because I am judging the actions which gonna reflect the individual's content of character, either positive or negative, based on a fact that happened. Sometimes it's an impartial fact. It's an accusation, and that's a little blurry. but I make my opinion, and once the evidence comes out and the sentencing comes out and the conviction comes out, then I change my opinion to match the evidence, the new evidence that has been now proven in court or on video. And then I state my new subjective judgment on the person, and I am very fucking brute, as usual. But other than that, 99.99% of the time, I am objective, whether it comes to race, whether it comes to laws, ethics, crime, religion, politics, sports, ranking the greatest of all time, skill, talent, highly successful individuals, competition. I am 99.99% of the time objective. And I can read through all these fucking fallacies, which I'm going to list. So the first one is a hidden bias. So a hidden bias means the person is clearly negative towards you. It's clearly negative towards you, but he's not going to show it. But he's going to ask all his questions in a negative manner, and it's going to take you some time to figure out. If you stick with it long enough, you will figure it out. But otherwise, you may not initially know that these are negative questions. An example is a journalist, black guy from Toronto, interviewed on our local news, Mike Tyson, and one of the questions he asked him very quickly was, Mike, you're a convicted rapist. What do you think your chances of meeting the mayor are going to give him a bad reputation? And Mike just said, I don't like to talk about negative things. I try to focus on the positive. And then he realized later that this reporter was setting him up. He said, you're a convicted rapist. What do you think that's going to hurt? Your meeting with the mayor is going to hurt his reputation. And then Mike called him a dirty piece of shit fucking rat. And the reporter shit his pants, and they cut the interview off. But that reporter has been promoted since then many times and is now like the main reporter on our news channel. It's on YouTube. Then we have negative facts or events. So they'll ask you a question, but it's going to be about something negative once again. And a lot of questions that you see from these biases are lose questions. So, one example is complicated questions. Like, why did you choose to ignore the warnings? That's a lose-lose. You cannot answer this question. That's why when you see political debates, they never answer the fucking question, because the questions are lose-lose scenarios, and they always point fingers at the other person to make them into a lose-lose scenario. Negative events. Something negative happened. Why did you act this way in this negative occurrence? And why did you act that way? So it's lose-lose if you answer it. Then you have some distorting the facts. So some event happened and it had an outcome, and the reporter focuses, there's always somebody that's pissed off. And the reporter are focused on those small group of people that are pissed off. The transgender, the LGBT, the Aboriginal, the children, the elderly, the senior, the veterans, the military, the school bus workers. Somebody is pissed off, and they will focus on the feelings of those people rather than the entire what the greater picture is. And yeah, so CNN is a master of this. CNN always ignores the fucking big picture and focuses on hype and controversies instead of the main article 24/7, 365 days a year. But and then they also focus on the content of character, attacking the person's character. Which, what I learned in university, Aristotle had 3 modes of rhetoric: logos, logic; ethos, emotion; and pathos, character. So if you need content of character, logic, and emotion, and those 3 together are the modes of persuasion and rhetoric. So CNN will focus on all 3 of those: emotion, content of character, and logic, distorting all 3 in their reporting. And then, one difficult scenario, probably the most difficult, which you need me for this. Well, that's not true. You need an expert. You need an expert. Not a scientist, but an expert. Because say you have some data, you have some evidence, you have some statistics, you have some numbers, some findings. It's very hard to draw out the most important repercussions of that data and find the big picture. Even if you're trying to be honest and do the greater good of the people, it is very fucking difficult to find out the biggest consequence out of some data, because data is just a stream of input. It's not a big picture yet. It's just a stream of input. So from this stream of input, you have to go from a 1D line into a 2D picture. So it's easy to go from a 2D picture and break it down into 1D lines. But to go from a 1D line into a 2-dimensional picture, you gotta formulate and use creativity, and you need an expert to do that. So finding the big picture is always incorrect, even if you're trying to be honest. Then we have bandwagon opinions. So like focusing on the hype or what the overwhelming majority is doing. Why are you doing this when everybody else switched to this? Or everybody's opinion is this, and that might not be the correct opinion, but they'll say everybody is doing this, or the sentiment has shifted this way. Why are you this way? Why are we focusing on healthcare instead of the economy right now? Like that. That about does it. And then you got so that bandwagon, why are you focusing on this when everybody doing it's kind of like when we were pissing off a small group of people, now we're pissing off a large group of people. So the masses who may not be completely informed or knowledgeable about everything to do with that subject, they all have an opinion, apparently, which may not be totally accurate, and now you're appealing to the masses. So you can either be appealing to the minority, or you can be appealing to the masses. And then the last thing is radical adjectives. So basically, you're asking a question or you're writing an article, and in the headline, you're just going to fucking use whatever adjectives you want. Radical, extremist, negative, pompous, diabolical, sinister, twisted. You just use whatever the fuck adjectives you want in posing questions or writing headlines. So, and when I checked with AI and I included everything that AI also, Microsoft Copilot added to this document. And now when you read something or listen to a reporter interviewing someone, you can read between their hidden biases and what's lost in that communication between two people, or even what's lost between the communication between the news outlet and the masses. And this is so important because people try to trick you, not just the news, but companies, corporations. The CEO of NVIDIA, the CEO of Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, CEOs of Microsoft, CEOs, you know, they could say that they're always in some sort of legal battle, and then they'll use rhetoric to put out a statement making them seem like the honest victim, innocent bad guy, innocent good guy, innocent small guy. So you'll have fucking Microsoft and Facebook and Apple trying to seem like the innocent small little guy in terms of a lawsuit, you know. And the lawsuit is what? They got 3-4 trillion dollars, and the lawsuit is 30 million. And they want to fight it because they're the small little guy based on the statements they put out and what their CEO, dressed in a fucking leather jacket, is telling to the reporter. And it always pisses me off because they would not agree to an interview unless the reporter was sided with them. So it's always the fucking questions are on the same side as the CEO. It's not going to be Fox News. It's not going to be CNN. It's not going to be New York Times. It's not going to be Wall Street Journal that's interviewing Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, CEOs of Microsoft, NVIDIA. It's going to be their own fucking media guys interviewing these CEOs. So you got to learn to read through the truth of communication and the hidden biases. And then what your ally is Google. Google search or AI, where you can search for events, facts, numbers, data, history, and use the search engine to find out some more digging before you form your educated opinion. And that about does it. There's rhetoric everywhere, not just politics, sports interviews, CEOs, companies, directors, manager mission statements, deals, contracts, insurance, car dealerships, real estate, stock brokerages, banking. There's rhetoric and truth of communication everywhere in the entire fucking world. So follow this document and learn to find out the twisting of narratives, whether intentional, how secret, and how harmful they can be. And just to be more educated, and then you're an educated individual. I picked it up because I graduated from the University of Toronto in 2020. So I'm sure if you practice, you can also become a skeptical person without a top university education. All right, so stay classy, Detroit.